Disgusting. It's disgusting. It makes me sick.
She said a lot of things that actually hurt my feelings as a mom.
Every year, Jackie and Doug Christie, a prominent couple in the realms of basketball and reality TV, effortlessly renew their vows, proving their enduring love. Doug is a retired NBA player who is known for his unwavering loyalty, and Jackie is. However, behind the picture-perfect moments, something doesn't quite add up, because maintaining an image like this requires more than just love. It requires control. And if you ask their daughter, Chantel Christie, she'll tell you that control is exactly what Jackie mastered over the years. She is a sometimes controversial wife who never hesitates to let people know that their bond is unbreakable. Chantel growing up, she witnessed her parents cultivate their public persona through media appearances, vow renewals, and extravagant displays of devotion. From the outside, it seemed like the kind of love story people fantasize about. But now that Chantel is speaking up, her reality is very different from the fairy tale we've been told.
You're not on my level.
I'm a crack addict because I'm small and you try to get lipo anytime to look like me. Okay, big ears.
You're right, but you better keep your ass in that C-tramp. That's what you better do. You're right, Dumbo ears. Yeah, I got a lot of husbands about these ears, bitch. Get a husband. That 48-year-old been working, bitch. You right.
For some, Jackie and Doug's marriage was a couple goals, but for others, it was a red flag in plain sight because love is one thing, but what Jackie and Doug had instead looked more like control. Jackie didn't just love Doug. She managed him at every event, appearance, and interaction. She was always there. Doug's loyalty wasn't enough, though. Fans had to believe it, so he wasn't just her husband. He was her living proof that their love was stronger. Untouchable. It's no secret that Jackie had rules, and Doug complied with them. No female fans were allowed to approach him too closely. No one went out by themselves, and there were never any circumstances that would even somewhat suggest a scandal. If Doug went to a game, Jackie would be in the stands, and he would do an interview. Jackie was present. She even grew up in this environment. Chantel was forced to comply, but even the best performances had their limitations because, as Jackie and Doug's kid, Chantel was supposed to be as polished as their marriage seemed to be. She was always polite, encouraging, and always said the right things in public. Behind the scenes, Jackie's control was suffocating Chantel as well. She had to fit into the family image, which meant there was no room for mistakes or deviating from the norm. For a long time, she did exactly what was expected of her. But as she grew older, she began to make decisions that weren't in line with her mother's wishes. Her first indications of rebellion were subtle. Though it wasn't loud at first, the tension was always there because Jackie and Doug had created a world where everything had to be perfect. But Chantel was beginning to realize that perfection wasn't real. The moment she stopped playing along the cracks in the Christie family image, it became impossible to ignore the career choices that didn't run through Jackie's first decisions, that showed she wanted to build her own identity instead of just being Jackie and Doug's daughter. The internet began to when Chantel began speaking, even if it was only in fragments. It began with a mysterious Instagram remark that said, "Here is a liked tweet, there." Nothing particularly noteworthy, but enough to get many wondering if Chantel was attempting to convey a message without actually saying it. After years of following the Christie family, people began to piece things together after observing that her posts seemed to allude to larger issues. She initially published messages about setting boundaries, selecting oneself, and leaving abusive surroundings. Appeared to be standard self-improvement discourse that anyone could identify with, but then some of her posts began to feel a bit too specific. She would talk about her controlling parents, how she felt ignored, how she had to overcome expectations that had been placed on her since she was a child, and, most importantly, that she was no longer sharing pictures of her family as frequently as she once did.
That Jackie and her daughter's relationship was strained. I didn't know to the extent or the degree.
Like the damage that she did to me and my sister's relationship, she won't even take accountability for. At this point, it's just like a fake, I have to keep talking to you so you won't go talk about me on Twitter and talk about me on Facebook and
So you
tell
think
your side of the
genuinely
story.
she doesn't care?
Why else would you speak about your daughter like this?
For many years, Chantel had been a part of the Christie brand's public appearances, sweet birthday posts for her parents, and supportive messages. She did a job in her role, but now she no longer included her family in posts. There were no more heartfelt Mother's Day messages for Jackie, and when she did, the tone was different from that of her fans. Immediately caught on, it was obvious that something wasn't right, and then everything made sense. However, when Chantel decided to tell the truth, fans weren't prepared, so she sat down for an interview, and for the first time, she truly spoke. Some people thought she was disparaging her mother, while others thought she was hinting at something bigger. She talked about what it was like to grow up under Jackie's control, how every action she took had to fit the family's image, how she wasn't just supposed to love her parents, but to do so in a way that boosted their brand, and how if she ever deviated from that, the repercussions were instantaneous, forcing her to repress her feelings for years. One of the most devastating discoveries was that she no longer felt the need to defend Christie's name, and her relationship with Doug had also degraded. Chantel acknowledged that although Doug was a devoted parent, his devotion to Jackie frequently provided little opportunity for him to genuinely assist her. He followed Jackie's instructions even when they weren't make sense, and as a result, Chantel felt alone, and as though she had no true support from her own family. Fans who had previously admired Jackie and Doug's marriage began to view it differently, and support poured in for Chantel. Some praised her for speaking out, while others accused Jackie of being manipulative and controlling. Chantel had spoken, and there was no turning back now that the rifts in the Christie family's flawless image were more than just rumors with Doug, but with her daughter.
Eventually, your mom will find out that you and I have talked.
Yeah, and all hell is gonna break loose.
Are you ready?
How much worse can it get?
When Chantel's revelations began making headlines, Doug's calm exterior cracked. At first, his reaction seemed measured, as he released a brief statement dismissing the claims as misunderstandings and family matters that should stay private. But behind the scenes, sources claimed he was furious. Doug had been the quiet backbone of the Christie family brand, letting Jackie take the lead, never challenging her rules in public, and keeping his private life out of the spotlight. Wasn't just angry. He felt deceived because Doug's loyalty had always been the cornerstone of his marriage and family. He had spent his entire life upholding the reputation he and Jackie had created by supporting her in every public moment, and now his daughter was the one threatening to destroy it all. But was it really just loyalty, or was there more going on here? When Doug did reveal something in an uncensored moment during a live stream, he made a mistake while answering a fan's remark regarding Chantel. People don't understand the sacrifices you make for your family, the things you give up to keep things together, Doug added, his irritation boiling over. That one sentence caused a stir on the internet. What exactly had Doug given up if he had been following Jackie's rules at his expense? Was there a secret aspect of their marriage that he was never allowed to disclose? Fans instantly criticized his remarks, with many guessing that Doug had been controlled by Jackie in the same way. Even though Chantel had mentioned that his whole post-NBA career had focused on upholding the ideal husband image Jackie desired, was Doug's admission that he wasn't as content as he always appeared, or was he just frustrated? With this bombshell out in the open, it was obvious that the Christie family drama had reached an irreversible point. The real question now is what will happen now that Chantel has revealed significant flaws in the family's flawless facade. Is this the start? Given the overwhelming amount of support from fans, some sources indicate she may feel comfortable sharing more about her background, her odd relationship with Doug, and the extent of Jackie's control. Speaking of Jackie, how will she respond to this situation? Since Christie has spent years meticulously constructing her public image and enjoys controlling the narrative, her daughter's public challenge to her, will she attempt to defend herself? Will she reject Chantel's charges as untrue? Or will she try to recapture the narrative by portraying herself as the misunderstood victim? Doug's response has been surprising thus far, but will he eventually speak out if he has more to say?
Chantel felt like she was in a room with padded walls and needed to release because nobody was.
Since, let's face it, where there is smoke, there is typically fire. If one secret could rock the Christie family's foundation, just think of what more might be hiding beneath the surface. The ideal family image has already been shattered by Chantel's discoveries, but this may only be the start. We're watching closely, and you don't want to miss what happens next. So please like, share, and subscribe for all the latest updates. Jackie has spent years controlling the narrative, but now she's facing something she can't ignore. Will she respond? Will Doug finally speak his truth? Will Chantel drop even more bombshells?